Well, hello. My name is Darryll Stinson. I'm the executive pastor of Growth Ministries here at Life Church International, which is essentially outreach and discipleship. I'm also a former Division I athlete and, more importantly, a suicide survivor. Like many other athletes, I grew up with dreams and ambitions to be a professional athlete and to play in the NFL, and I actually wanted to play in the NBA too. I went to Central Michigan University on a full-ride scholarship to play Division I football, and all my coaches told me that it was a sure deal that I would go on to be a professional athlete. The problem was that at the end of my freshman year, I had a severe back injury that was supposed to end my career forever. But for me, sports wasn't what I did, it was who I was. And I just couldn't let it go that easy. I couldn't live with the fact that something I had worked my entire life to do was now coming to a dramatic end. So I signed a liability waiver to be able to keep my career alive, and I put my body through 2 years of absolute torment to keep my career alive. I was going to acupuncture once a week, physical therapy 7 days a week. I was getting chiropractic work done 5 days a week. I was manipulating the healthcare system, getting multiple epidural shots in my back. I developed a severe opioid addiction where I was taking so many opioid pills that it was thinning my blood to the point where every time I made contact on the field, my nose would bleed. And finally, my coaches found out what I was doing. And they said, "We don't know what you're into, but we've got to shut you down." And so going into my senior year, they terminated my liability waiver, and everything that I had did to that point to keep my career alive was no longer keeping it alive. It was the loss of my dream that caused me to go into the deepest depression of my entire life. I started mixing my opioid pills with alcohol. I would get in the car hoping that I would just drive and get in a car accident that would end it all. I became very suicidal, and I started to do tons of stuff to just try to end my life. And it got so bad that I tried to starve myself to death, and I went from 275 pounds to 219 pounds in 4 weeks because I just didn't want to live anymore. And it was all these attempts at suicide that landed me in a psychiatric unit. And you see, at this point in my life, I didn't believe in Jesus. I didn't even really believe in any type of organized religion. I just believe all organized religion was just made up, designed to control people, and that all roads led to the same God. And so when I was here at the psychiatric unit in Detroit, Michigan, it was there that my life would change forever. While I was sitting there on the hospital bed, a woman came in. She was a nurse that worked there. She walked into my room and she said, "I don't even know who you are, and I don't even have jurisdiction to be back here in this part of the hospital. But God sent me back here to tell you that you need to say yes to Him." And I knew that this woman was sent from God, but my heart was so hard that I didn't want to surrender to God. And she prayed for me for about 15 minutes, and the entire time I just kept yelling at her, telling her to leave me alone and just let me die. A few moments later, my grandmother came in the room, and she had driven from an hour and a half away. And she burst in the room and she just said, "Grandson, I've been praying for you all the way here. God told me that you know exactly what to do. You need to say yes to Him." It was the same command a second time. And I couldn't deny that this was God trying to work through people to speak to me. But my heart was still hard because surrendering my life to Christ wasn't gonna bring my career back. It wasn't gonna heal my body. So I didn't want anything to do with it. And finally, I just heard the voice of the Father whisper to my heart. And He said, "Son, will you just say yes to me?" And it was something about hearing that still small voice that gave me the courage to just mutter out a, "Yes, Lord." In the moment that I let those words out of my mouth, immediately the depression that I was under for years left. My eyes that had been swollen shut from crying got healed, and I could open them again, and it felt so good. I didn't know what else to do. I just kept screaming, "Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord." And that was the moment that I surrendered my life to Christ. And that was the moment that I realized that I had a future, a destiny outside of sports, that there was more to me than just running fast and jumping high. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting outside of the four walls of the church and reaching people who are far from God and making life-giving disciples of those that we reach. Because I, too, was lost, and now I'm found.